is because you ended up purchasing all of Hell. Cerberus, however, is resource guarding. It's really unfortunate. So anytime anyone has a bite to eat, he does end up causing a bit of a scene, a bit of a ruckus. Many souls have been doomed to eternal damnation due to it. Oh, hello. Welcome. Oh my god, we've been expecting you. Oh, yes. You are, of course, the new owner of Hell? Yes, of course. Come in, come in. Have a seat. I'm your new assistant. Yes, my name is Basil. Nice to meet you. Yeah, of course. Okay, yeah. So, I heard that you are the new owner of Hell. It's been all over the news lately. I think that we don't know the exact numbers as to how many souls it took for you to actually purchase Hell from our previous owner, but we're sort of happy that it happened. It was time for a change, time for some new management, right? So, I was elected as the person to become your assistant. We met before on the phone, I think, before you came down here to Hell. Welcome to the manor, of course. The owner's manor. But yes, so I'm just going to explain everything to you, make sure everything's good. We're going to go through a whole bunch of things. I wrote everything down for you, so I was a bit nervous about this meeting because I don't know how ruthless you're going to be, but you seem to be pretty chill right now. Are you pretty chill? Yeah, you're pretty chill. Okay, yeah, good. Okay, so I do have my little binder here, so I'm just going to flip through all of the different tabs we have, because I don't remember exactly where I left. Yes, because we do have that problem. Yes, Medusa is a problem here. And yeah, oh my god, he did forget to file last year's taxes. Oh no, that's fine. Oh, but here it is. Okay, so I'm just my little notebook. Let's get started. So we're just going to get you through a bit of some onboarding, right? We're trying to get you up to speed as to what's happening. And I know you have your own ideas and everything, but it's better for you to, since you didn't really have a trial run, I think it's good for you to understand how things work around here before you start changing everything, right? Are you okay with that? Oh my god, yeah, perfect. Oh my god. And, if I'm overstepping, I am your assistant, so I will take 50 lashes every time I misspeak on your behalf. But of course, that is up to your discretion, just making sure. Okay, so we're going to discuss, first of all, your new identity as the owner, how people should address you, that sort of thing. Then we're going to talk about issues, right? And this is, when you purchased Hell, you were campaigning to purchase Hell, and in purchasing it, you did talk about policy, you did talk about a bunch of different things. We want to discuss what you plan on following through, as well as what issues we are currently already having. Whether that fits into your agenda will be another matter. But this is just to make sure we know what's going on in Hell, right? And then we're going to talk about in-progress projects. This in particular is very important because already a lot of souls have been put into these projects, and to cancel them now would be just a loss of money, right? Now, of course, you can cancel it if you want to. You are the new owner, but as someone who does also deal with the number of souls that we have, as well as our, the current bank accounts are a little low. Our previous owner was a little bit, they really liked swiping that card now, didn't they? But once we're done with that, we'll move on to the personality type test. And this is just to make sure we, as your workers, we know how you want to manage Hell, right? You won't be able to be around for everything, nor should you be, right? You are the new owner of Hell. You need to reap the benefits. We are your workers. We're going to do everything for you. But we don't know. We need direction, right? And so this is just to help us get started, right? Is there anything that you would like to add to the agenda now before we get started so that we just sort of, you know, we have time and I can like make time for that? Okay, you do want to talk about. Okay, yeah, so you'd like to talk about sort of like household duties? Yes, of course. Yeah, okay. What would that? Okay, well, no, we'll get to it. So let's start. Okay, so with your new identity, do you want to be referred to as like head devil, like head honcho? Would you like to be, are you like the new king? Do you want to take on the mantle of the previous owner? You could go with Hades, classic. You know, everybody knows it, but you could also go with Persephone, a little bit of an underrated look, underrated. Name and identity to sort of take up if you didn't want to, if you wanted to give like a new direction, new face, right? You could also go with Kyle. Kyle, I think, would be a very good middle ground where you would all of the new souls coming in would understand how the gruesomeness that the identity of Kyle would be. Next would also be the name Karen. You know, similar to Kyle, that would be one of those things where you would be referencing something that the new souls would end up knowing, right? And instilling fear through proximity to a archetype. But if you want, okay, you want to blaze your own trail, right. So you don't want any of these names. Okay, so what would you like your name to be then? Okay, so you want to be that. That's fine. That's good. You know, it's not particular. It is particularly scary. Yeah, no, I am shaking in my boots. It's a long one too. My word. Okay, so let's just. Did you have that in mind when you bought the book? Oh, you did. Okay, it's what spurred you to buy Hell. Okay, well, that's interesting. You know, most people, we've gone through a few owners before. Hades was the most, you know, was the last one. But we had a few beforehand. You know, they're always a little different. But Hades was a very controversial figure, to say the least. And you'll see that in a second. So. Okay, so that was a long name. Okay, and in terms of your identity, do you want a moniker? Do you want, you know, like king or queen or, you know, your holiness or your deviliness or, you know, the great contractor or, okay, lawyer? Okay. The great lawyer. I think that would be good. Yeah, you have some good. Okay. Well, okay, so that does the identity. I'm going to make a little note to myself here because we do need to have. I need to inform all of the napkins, paperwork, as well as all of the giant insignias need to be updated with your new moniker and name. So I need to contact the proper administration, get that rolling, you know. But it's not going to be a big deal. Oh yeah, of course, I'm totally do that. It's just. It's hard to multitask, you know. Okay, I'm just doing that. And okay, perfect. So next, we're going to discuss issues, right? So first issue that we need to discuss is the river Styx. Have you heard of the issues with the river Styx lately? Oh, there's quite a few issues. Okay. Do you want the long version or the short version? Okay, you would like the... Okay, so... The river Styx, you know, the river that brings the lost souls down here to hell. It has been having a few issues as of late. So the way it typically would work, and please tell me if I am speaking too much about this, or if you already know, it is not my jurisdiction. It is not my department. So I only know offhand how it works. But from what I understand, Charon is the person that mans the boat, brings the souls over to us for us to torture, for us to bring in and welcome. However, there's a few issues, right? The river Styx is meant to be like a river of blood, but it's looking a bit like a river of grape juice. It is not very good. It's not very scary, and it's getting a little polluted. There's unfortunately, Zeus has in fact started their own like nuclear reactor, started a whole bunch of different factories, and they're dumping a lot of the waste into the river Styx without any regard, so Charon did have a little bit of a freak out about that. We tried to reassure him. The previous Hades did everything that he could to keep him, but unfortunately Charon is striking. Now, Hades particularly does not like strikes. He really wanted to fire Charon immediately. But, I tried to talk him down. I was like, listen, Charon knows what he's doing. But if you really want to go through with this, let's at least, in the interim, circling back on it, let's just get a bunch of imps to man the boats, right? I mean, that should be easy. They're going to be nowhere as good as Charon, but if we get a bunch of them, get a bunch of boats, that would be good. Unfortunately, that was a mistake. We, a bunch of them did fall into the river Styx, died themselves. Quite a shame, but we have rock solid contracts, so there's no chance of them suing us. Regardless, so we do need Charon. So that is one of the issues that you're going to have to be dealing with. Do you have any ideas, thoughts on the issue, or do you want to table it for now? Okay, you would like to table it? Okay, we can table it for now. Yeah, after the personality type test, we'll be able to determine how you would like to go forward, and then we'll come back to it, right? Okay, so I'll just table it for now. Okay, so moving on from Charon, we'll have to talk about Cerberus. So you did inherit Cerberus because you ended up purchasing all of Hell. Cerberus, however, is resource guarding. It's really unfortunate. So anytime anyone has a bite to eat, he does end up causing a bit of a scene, a bit of a ruckus. Many souls have been doomed to eternal damnation due to it. And he's meant to be a good boy, but he's not really being a good boy. The previous owner did have us send for a trainer. Unfortunately, that trainer was unavailable. They said something about vacationing in Prague, so I think that we'll have to wait for that unless you are wanting to do something about Cerberus yourself. Okay, so you have experience with dogs and whatnot? Yeah, okay. That's good. But Cerberus is a bit of a handful. I think that he's been a bit spoiled, and he didn't grow up he didn't grow up with really good formal training. So he's a dog with a job, but his job, he sort of loses track of that job. It's also a problem. I did write this down as a little note. Hades had this problem where he did allow a lot of the souls that came to complain to him about how Hell is for them. He would let them give Cerberus a pet. And as if you know, a dog with a job shouldn't be pet because it could really distract them from their job. And so it really, I think, broke him and made him, not lose a lot of his training. Because he was once a very good dog before Hades took over. So it might be a good idea for you to address that because Cerberus is now your dog. Just so you know. Yeah. Okay, so after that we have Elysium is a little too chill. There's multiple different layers of Hell, and Elysium is one of them. You may have heard about Elysium. It's meant to be the place where a lot of the great warriors go and whatever, but we do have access to that domain, and the torture is really not giving. So Hades was trying to figure out a way to liven it up a little bit, right? He wanted to figure out a way to get people more involved in the torture, to get people more excited about the torture, you know. Don't you want your eyeballs to be clawed out? Don't you want 1,000 cuts, you know, that sort of thing. But unfortunately, Hades' version of that is to like send out flyers. And yes, I know, he was so behind the times. He wanted to make a MySpace. You know, no one uses MySpace anymore. What is this? Okay, so you get it, you understand. I'm tabling most of these for later, but getting you familiar with them, I think, is what's important here. And then 6, so this circles back to the Charon problem. All of our imps are dead. What that means is, because they're dead, we don't have, we don't have paralegals. You know, we don't have people that can look at the contracts and deal with like the fluff. You know, deal with the stuff that we don't want to deal with. And that what ends up happening is that a lot of things are slipping through the contracts. It actually is a really big eye opener. A lot of our lawyers have had a problem because they're actually not that good. The imps were carrying a lot of the work. So I think once you are fully ordained as the new owner, which you are the new owner, it's just that it's sort of like a formality, but once that happens, your blood ends up becoming infused with sort of like the essence of hell, and so we'll be able to drain your blood a little bit and create more imps. So I think that's just for a later time, of course, unless you don't want any imps anymore. You know, we may have, you know, you could make this a permanent thing for the imps, you know, think of the past. Okay. Totally. I can totally do that. Okay, so doing that, we can move on from the issues onto the projects. So rugs and curtains. Hades was having a whole big thing about needing to change out the rugs and curtains, but he never decided. So if you are down, I do have a few samples of things to show you. That would be good for like rugs and curtains. That would be not within the manor, but within, you know, all levels of hell, right? So as an example, do you want a rug that is towel, right? This would be really interesting because what this would do is create a sensory nightmare for anybody walking on it. So here, you can, I'll, if you don't mind, I'm just gonna have you feel it. Yeah, you see, it's a towel, right? So it feels like a towel, but you don't want a towel on your, like beneath your feet at all times. So, and the idea is that if we have, there we go. So if we have this sort of fabric, everybody would be mandated to be to have their toesies out. Okay, yeah, a little bit too tame, right? So next would be tape. What if we just, for rug, we just have tape, right? Sticky, terrible, another sensory nightmare. You know, imagine people walking on this. Wouldn't that be devilish? Okay. And we're thinking too small. You know, you're right. You're right. We are thinking too small. We did get a sample book of different textures. And this will be very helpful because we could end up doing, you know, textures that are like printed textures, right? And it would be on the floor. So like, for example, this is paper, but it's really rough. If you can feel that or hear that. So if you wanted to add a bunch of different sensory nightmares, I think that would be really helpful. Another really good one is, hold on. This right here. We have this like trench coat, right? But within the trench coat, you can feel things hidden underneath. And so the idea is that we take everything important from someone and hide it beneath the rug, the last place that they would look. And then just, have them forever be lost trying to find it. Okay, I understand. It's not really... Okay, that's totally fine. We'll circle back to that. I think that in terms of textures and whatnot, curtains and rugs, they are pretty high on the list of demands and things that we need to do. But we already had souls allocated to that. And if we decide to cancel the project, then of course we would lose that funding, the soul funding. Yeah. Next is home renovation. So, in the same vein, Hades wanted to really spruce up the place. He didn't really like the amount of candles that we had. He didn't particularly enjoy the sort of Greek-inspired, architecture. He wanted to go with something a bit more modern, a bit of a millennial gray, mixed with sort of gray, gray laminate floors. He was really, really into the frame TV. He really wanted the frame TV. And we put all of this down, but we did not put in the order before he left. So if you want that, okay, no, you don't want that. Okay, so I'm just going to write to cancel all of that. And do you still want a renovation? Things are a little bit old, but I still think that it's pretty good. It's pretty, they're solid, Okay, no, you just want us to go to IKEA. Okay, we can do that. We can go to IKEA. I mean, we'll make a day of it. Okay. Great. Okay, and now 3. In terms of projects. This is going to be a little bit mean, but you, as the new owner of Hell, now have an adopted son by the name of Zagreus, and he is a project. Very sassy, he's going through his teen years, rebelling. So this is something to make note of. Hades did abandon him, so he's going to have a lot of trauma. We do have round-the-clock therapy for him. However, he does not listen, and I think he's killed about 7 of them. Yeah, 1 for every day of the week. And we are running out of, different souls that we could bring in for him. If we still had the imps, we could at least send them in. He does have a soft spot for imps. He thinks that perhaps we should treat them better, but, that's neither here nor there. And the next thing is we need to, I'm just sort of moving on from Zagreus. That's a whole thing. We can table that for now. But the last thing is, and this kind of relates to Zagreus, a lot of people in Hell expect the owner to find their Persephone. It's sort of this very interesting thing, and Persephone can be any gender, right? Persephone is gender neutral. But what we're trying to say is that it's very good for morale, or rather, a better way to put it is that it's very bad for morale. Look at Persephone. Look at this person that I have, and you can never have anybody like Persephone or anybody at all. It really lowers morale and makes each... think of it as a multiplier. If a torture is sort of 1 day of torture is 5 points, you having a Persephone would times 3 those 5 points and make it 15 points. That's 15 points of torture. Yes, it's all science driven. We do a bunch of science driven stuff here in Hell. Yeah, so I think this is one of the things that's going to be a little bit non-negotiable, right? It is one of those things where it's really expected. So I will sign you up for all of the dating apps, to help you find out. So what would you prefer? Tinder, Bumble, Hinge, or do you want some of the oldies like OkCupid, Match.com? Do you want... we could take you out to a few bars. That could be interesting. You might be a little bit intimidating, but some people might like that, Okay. Okay, so then moving on, we're just going to do the bit of the personality type test now. Okay, so this is just a few things, a few questions. It's only 4 questions, right? 4 questions that I'm going to ask you to make sure that you know and we know what it is what kind of person you're going to be for hell, right? So the first one is say you're working day to day and one of your subordinates is incompetent. What do you do? Do you 1, kill, 2, maim, 3, damn, or 4, scold? Okay. Maim, interesting. Interesting. Yeah, Hades was a fan of the scold method. Unfortunately, it didn't really work out because he would scold, but there would be no follow through. I know, he needs to have some follow through. Okay, so next. What if the citizens of hell gain lawful representation through new souls who become lawyers? So this would be one of those things where, as you know, every citizen signs a very ironclad contract, but we are forced to give representation for these citizens. So say they actually get representation, that's good, and that's actually like better than we expected. How would you deal with that? Like what laws would you put in place? How would you solve that issue? So 1, would you kill? 2, would you maim? 3, would you damn? Or 4, would you scold? Okay, kill? Okay. Interesting. Okay. I'm liking this direction. Yeah, you don't mess around. That's really good. Okay. Making a note of that. 3. Say that your new brother, Zeus, pays us a visit. How would you like us to proceed? To give you some context, the previous owner, Hades, was not a big fan of Zeus. So we tended to give Zeus a hard time. Zeus never really visited anyway. It's sort of like a no love lost sort of situation. But you could take a different approach, right? So, okay, yeah, you want to build bridges. Okay. That's okay. You want to build bridges and okay, so yeah, it's old news, right? You're a new person. You can do this yourself, and you don't need to carry on the sort of the grudges of the old owners. Okay, I like that. I really do like that. Okay. And then 4, what would you fix about hell? This is sort of open-ended, so I'm not going to give you 1, 2, 3, 4. Just, rapid fire, you could tell me what things you think are wrong with hell or what things you would want to fix, Okay, there are too many slobs. That's interesting. Okay. Yeah, it's just that you saw a bunch of... okay, yeah. Just on your way in. Okay, and they have a bad work ethic. Yeah, I mean, if Charon's anything to go by, oh my god, striking, that's such a bad work ethic. Yeah, and then, okay, so you want to put the focus on sort of the mission of hell, right? Torture. Torture is front and center. Both mental and physical. Oh, very nice. Yeah, getting with the times. Mental torture is very underrated these days. Yeah. Okay. And okay. Okay, and you think the schools are underfunded. Okay, yeah, we can totally talk about that and really discuss that because I think, okay, yeah, so like you want the schools to be a bit more funded? Is that, okay, oh, you want more funding for the arts. Okay, yeah, we can totally do that, yeah. Mm-hmm. And, okay, so a problem of hell is that there's no healthcare. That is something that's important. There needs to be healthcare because how are we going to torture people if they just end up dying? They need to have free universal healthcare so that they can get fixed up so that we can torture them again. I mean, come on now. That is totally on the agenda. That totally makes sense. Okay. Perfect. So, that's everything that I had. So if there's anything that you, oh right, I'm gonna have to get some lashings for that, aren't I? I totally forgot about the thing you added, which is the household duties. So is this, what is it about that? Okay, you want a whole new staff for the manor. Okay, I can. Okay, a whole new staff of what? So okay, you want a butler, 5 maids. You'd like a nanny for Zagreus? He is in his teen years. Do you think a nanny? Oh, it's more of a mental game you're playing. Okay, okay. So a nanny for Zagreus. And what else do you? Okay, you would like some guards and, you know. Okay, okay. So some trainers for Cerberus. You're sort of lumping that in with the like household duties. Um, okay. Oh, and then you'd like an office within the manor. Okay. Is this for you? Oh no, this is for like, I see. So the imps will be in the manor working on contracts in the manor so you can oversee them. You know, that's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. Okay. 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 Well, I'll get on that. Welcome to hell. I am so pleased to be working under you. If you need anything, please, please, don't hesitate to call. You know my number, so I will get on it.